This week, we're talking about Gamescom opening night live and Xbox's attempt to get the UK approval on the Activision Blizzard deal. This is the Good Game Bad Game podcast.
This is a song I wrote about the Good Game Bad Game podcast. Good Game Bad Game podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Good Game Bad Game podcast. I'm your host, Spencer, and with me is a man who just wants GTA 6. It's my co-host, Mike. Mike, how are you?
I didn't realize I was Bill Clinton today.
No.
Huh?
You are your own person.
But I strive to be Bill Clinton.
Oh, I mean, well, what you choose or choose not to strive for in your life is your prerogative, I guess.
Yes. Would you like to see my list?
Anyway,
We're not tinfoil hatlet podcast.
How do I get off of this topic? Been to any cool islands lately? Shit.
Maybe.
Anything you say?
I was on something. I was on something recently that I think is considered an island, and I'm not sure how.
I'm guessing this is a segue into the games you've been playing this week. He
Yeah.
asks, hopefully.
Maybe my Sim City is on an island.
Oh, okay.
There are at least islands around my Sim City.
All right, sure.
And I hate to say it, I'm playing a lot of Sim City.
Interesting. On the phone?
On my phone, yeah.
That's so funny because I think where you left us off was you have to get nails or something.
Yes, nails are the bloodstream of this game. And that's basically what you're striving to do, is just make nails.
Of course.
But yeah, so I haven't had a bunch of time to sit down and play games the past couple of weeks, and there are times where I just need a quick mental break from work, and I just open my phone and I collect all the stuff I need to manufacture, like nails. See if there are any building upgrades I can do, and then I set stuff off to start getting manufactured, because it can take up to 30 minutes depending on what you're doing, and then I close it.
I hear you.
And that's working for me. And now I'm starting to realize the magic of mobile games.
Wow. And are you also realizing the magic of sim games? Not sim as in The Sims and Sim City, but specifically simulation types.
I've always been interested in them, but there's been few that have kept my interest.
Sure.
And, I think that's just the thing with me. I could end up not opening SimCity again, because it does kind of just get redundant,
right?
And I seldom have time to kill, so it is literally just being used as a mental break. Or I'll even just even if I'm chewing on something, not physically, but or physically.
Yeah, you never know.
My wife's probably mad because we're sitting down at the dinner table and I'm not talking, I'm eating my food, and she just hears all the Candy Crush-esque noises coming from my phone, because of course I play it on full blast.
Of course. How else would you play it?
Yeah. In public, full blast. If I'm by myself, though, I kind of like to quiet, so I usually mute it.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of been a shocking hit for me.
I love it.
So I've been playing that, and
is that it? Are you still thinking, or?
Oh, did you not hear any of that?
No.
Damn it! I opened it. I opened SimCity on my phone at full blast and just started touching stuff. So I was making noises.
No, you
And
like
it
kind of
started.
just you just trailed off, and then it was just quiet. And I
Oh,
was just like, "Are you still thinking?" Or
damn it, Discord! You're too good.
yeah.
No, I literally started opening it on my phone, and the first thing that played, I literally had it on full blast, and the first thing that played was like a horn from a boat. It was very loud and very obnoxious.
It's a shame because
I,
if this is the this is the bad of Discord because and how we're like set up to record because if it were comedy on my end, it, my mic would have picked it up and so therefore it would have been in the recording, but you may not have heard it.
oh,
But because it's on your end, I just don't hear it, which means it also doesn't get captured in the recording. So,
one of these days we'll record asynchronously, and
oh god, I don't even want to think about having to line up the audio for that, even though it would definitely probably sound better. But that wouldn't. I mean, that still wouldn't make up for the fact that I wouldn't hear the comedy, and that's really at the end of the day what sucks.
yeah, that's
Um,
true. You just have to trust me. We'd have to like, I'll have to make little footnotes as I'm doing shit. Anyway, well, I tried. I tried. You could always pipe it in later.
yeah, totally.
I honestly don't think I played anything else. I downloaded Starfield. That was cool.
So exciting.
So it was very confusing. I think I sent it to you. I was like, you can manage your console pretty easily from your phone, your
Hmm.
Xbox. So I did that, and I had like, I ended up with like 240 gigs free. Because I also just got rid of some games that I knew I wasn't going to play, or games that I'd beaten that I just hadn't deleted yet.
Hmm.
And I went on to Game Pass to pre-install it, and it's like you need 6 more gigabytes. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I'm like over 250 gigabytes. I don't know why. I ended up just going onto my console and doing it from there. And he told me like 140 initially, but once you start the install, it's like only around 110 maybe.
Uh huh.
So I'm guessing they're leaving space for a day one patch that's going to be around 16 gigs or something.
Makes sense. Yeah. I mean, I mean, obviously, there's going to be a day one patch. That's just how it always works now.
Yeah.
And it's fine. Whatever is what it is. But I've never seen a more like clear instance of a game that's going to need a day one patch than Starfield because that start menu is just wow.
Like, why
Don't
didn't
even
they
get me
just put a
started.
little bit of effort into it?
Yeah, I mean, I can tell that this game is just going to be absolute dog shit because I one can't play it right now, and two, that start screen. But it's mainly two,
Mhm.
not the. Forget about the first part. It's mostly just the second part, and that's how I
Right.
know.
Yeah, right. But that being said, when they port it to PlayStation, it'll probably be a lot better. And
It'll
then
be the best game ever, a game of the year.
yeah, yeah, yep.
Internet drama is funny. Not even drama. Bait. I love the people who are like bait used to be believable.
Right.
Um, that's so exciting though. We're literally 2 weeks away, and
Crazy.
just yeah, insane. Um,
So can we talk about that for a second?
of course
Because I want to make sure I'm not crazy.
you're not.
Is there going to be multiplayer for Starfield?
Oh, I don't
Does
think
anybody
so.
know? Have we
I don't.
ever talked about this? You don't think so?
I don't think so. Bethesda has never piped multiplayer into a game into any of their like
Non
Sky,
Elder Scrolls Online.
well, right, like Skyrim, like Elder Scrolls and Fallout never had online. They made a dedicated game for online. And so I would just assume Starfield is Elder Scrolls. It is Fallout. It is like a single player experience.
Gotcha.
Because that's not to say that like Bethesda hasn't had games with multiplayer, obviously, like Redfall and Deathloop, and you know, well, Deathloop doesn't have multiplayer, but like it has like online. or yeah, I guess it's multiplayer. It's not co-op. Is I guess what I'm trying to say. But
Yeah,
regardless, I would imagine Starfield follows the footsteps of like the Skyrims, the Fallouts, stuff like that.
I didn't even think about it because it kind of reminds you of a game that would have multiplayer. Um, given all the customization. And my brother and I were talking about it. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to get it for PC so we can play together." I was like, "Oh, sweet, that'd be awesome to finally have a game like that I could play with somebody." Um, since you won't play No Man's Sky with me,
I'll play No
and
Man's Sky with you. What the fuck?
I know we just haven't gotten to it.
We still have to go back to the Division 2.
I hear you, dude. I hear you.
Oh my god.
Maybe if you'd stop working so much during the week, mess around with your boy online.
Dude, this week is literally so perfect for that.
Is it?
Yeah, tomorrow and Friday. Look at us making plans on the podcast. I could definitely pull it.
That's unfortunate because I can't. Next week, though.
Oh. I'll see what I can do. I'll try to make sure my Thursdays and my Fridays are clear from here on out.
Excellent. Yeah, Fridays are perfect.
Yeah, Fridays definitely.
Unless you're listening from my work, then Fridays are not perfect. Unless you're the cool people I work with, then you know.
Yeah. You know what's up.
Orange Dot Squad. That's what we are.
I hear you. And to just get back to what you were saying about having a game to play, can't say anything else but other than you and Chris are both idiots and should know better that Bethesda wouldn't have multiplayer in a game like this. I don't think it does. I could be wrong, and so
should have known by the damn menu.
Should have known by the damn menu. God, I guess I ended up blogging so many people because of that, air quotes drama, controversy, whatever you want to call it, because there were people who were trying to like capitalize on the initial post about it. Somebody posted a thing. They were just like, since the topic of start screens is happening, which is your favorite start screen? And it's literally like, it's The Last of Us, start screen, God of War, Spider-Man, and I forget what the fourth one was, but it was another PlayStation IP.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Might have been. The fact that like I can't remember what it was just tells me that the start screen doesn't stick out to me. And the only thing about God of War and Spider-Man start screens is that it's literally just the fucking character. Like it's just Kratos and Atreus, whatever. And then for Spider-Man, it's literally Spider-Man on like the wall of a building. And then The Last of Us is just a fucking empty room in like
with a window.
Yeah, with a window that you can like clearly tell is like, like you can tell it's like apocalyptic or whatever. That's it. Like I don't know. Shelby and I talked about it on SM Soup. Like both of us were just like, it's just like the dumbest thing to like try to hone in on, to be like, this clearly shows that there wasn't like effort put in. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like none of these are like anything special. It's like, again, The Last of Us is the only one that I could like think of in the moment that I like could think of like what the start screen clearly is. And I was like, it's just a fucking room. Like it does not make me feel anything. Like
I saw somebody who was getting pissy about the Starfield start screen, and somebody just responded to the start screen for Ghost of Tsushima. And this isn't, I like you said, I don't fucking care about the menu. The one thing I do care about is I hate the new theme, and Microsoft is very guilty of this, of having a dot that you need to like move to each menu selection. And it's like a dynamic, like you can put it anywhere on the screen.
Oh, rather than be like a snappy menu.
Yeah, that is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
That is a reason I will not play a game.
just because it's so hard to get to the start button.
So to be honest with you, I almost didn't play Cyberpunk at all. But like when I first got it before the update, like I almost didn't even give it a shot because I didn't know how to start the fucking game. I was like, and like the um D-pad didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So you had to use the analog stick to move it, and I just had like a stroke trying to figure that out because that was one of the first games that I've played where that was the dynamic.
I hear you. That's
That
a
is
good
stupid.
gripe.
I don't know what UX person said this should be the de facto way of starting a game. That is my soapbox. I will not get down on. That is the reason I will not play a game.
No,
And Bethesda does that.
it's a good gripe.
But um, yeah. So anyway, going back to Ghost of Tsushima, it's like the same exact menu options. It's on the left side, and like to the right of it is just like a static picture of a katana. And people are just like, "What is the difference other than the background?"
Right.
Who cares? You should be.
the detail, Mike, the detail.
I guess fucking detail for you right here.
Yeah, I don't care about the fucking start screen. You better have put the fucking care and effort into the actual game itself.
People are making Todd Howard in Starfield.
Unbelievable.
Like it looks just like him. It's uncanny. People are making Jim Ryan in Starfield because of the level of detail that is in the character creation. It's too much detail.
It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. Yeah. Oh man, where would we be if it wasn't for trolls and we'd have nothing to talk about. So
No, they give us content.
I I had a really interesting week with the games that I played. And I've been so excited to tell you about this because I played a game that had the best use of New Game Plus I've ever seen. Are you ready?
Go on. I'm so ready.
So obviously games are leaving PS Plus, so I'm working on getting platinums and stuff like that. I did get 2 platinums this week. And so one of the games that's leaving is it's called Death End Request 2. Okay. And I was like, well, I should probably play the first one. The first one's not leaving. The first one is on the service. So I was like, all right, I should probably play the first one because it might matter, it might not, but like I generally like to try and play games in order if possible, regardless of if the story truly matters or not. And all these games they're basically visual novels with turn-based fighting in between and like heavy emphasis on visual novel over the like actual like fighting and exploration and stuff like that. Like Persona 5 is definitely like visual novelty, but like it has so much JRPG to it and stuff like that that like it's so balanced and so perfect. This game is, I would call it a visual novel before I'd call it anything else. And spoiler for a game that I'm sure nobody is going to play. The whole like concept of the game is that like somebody got trapped in a video game and they need to like complete the game to be able to like return to their body in the real world. And then there's somebody in the real world who's on the game server trying to help them get through the game. That's the general like idea behind it. And it gets so fucky. The story is really good in the first one. It gets like so fucky with like how the person who's helping the person in the game is a programmer. And the idea is that like weird shit's happening in the real world. So it's almost like, is the real world a simulation? And then there's like people who can like effectively program the real, what we think is like the real world. And they're considered like gods effectively. But it's like also like so reminiscent of like the person who's trapped in the game as well when they're like interacting with NPCs and stuff like that. It's so well done. And the person who is in, again, what is considered the real world is given like the ability to like turn back time. So you play through the game, you finish it, and you get the ending, and then you fail effectively like your mission. And so the idea is you do a new game plus, it resets the timeline because of that. So everything plays exactly the same. All the story beats are exactly the same up until the ending when you can like have a new different outcome. And I thought that was such a unique and awesome way of using New Game Plus.
That is really interesting. That's kind of cool.
Like I was just like so impressed. I was just like, they literally baked it into the story.
Hmm.
And I thought that was so cool.
Right. So rather than like, okay, you get to restart the game now and keep some of your stuff, it's a continuation.
Yep. Yeah, effectively it's a continuation, but the like whole concept is that like the first playthrough you're doing is already like the second, the third, the fourth, could be the 100th attempt already, because when you like get to the end, you like find a thing and you realize like why certain things are the way they are throughout the entire story. But the problem is that like when you reset, like the character loses all of the memories, and that's why there are certain things to try and get them to like remember effectively. And I don't know, it was just cool. It was just really well done. And again, because nothing's really different, like your second playthrough goes like way quicker, and then you get to the end, and that's the thing that like you have the ability to like affect the outcome. And I just thought that was such a unique way of like using it. So that was the one game that I platinumed, and then I did play Death End Request 2, and that game's story was dog shit and so bad that like I just like ripped through it. Like it was like 10 chapters. I was on the 5th chapter, and I was just like, this is not gripping in any fucking way whatsoever. And so I just ripped through it, and also got the platinum in
Amazing
that.
that you can platinum a game that you hated, or at least that had a bad story, going
Mm-hmm.
overgeneralized, and not just say, you know what, not worth my time. The platinum grind is strong
I mean,
with this one.
of course, you know, uh, and the like saving grace is that like the gameplay in between the like dialogue and like all that stuff, it was still good. And if anything, that part was probably better in the second game. Um, so like the fights and stuff like that. So like it was still enjoyable. It was just the fact that like, and I can definitely do that with a lot of games where it's just like I do not care about the story, but I do enjoy the part of it where I get to run around and do XYZ, and that's that. And so that's basically what that turned into. And it was I mean like super easy and took way less time because of the fact that again, heavy emphasis on it's a visual novel. So like was able to skip through like 90% of the game.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. You know, so you were literally just like not even really paying attention to the story, just ripping through it.
Yep.
I mean, I love it.
And again, that was with the second one because the first one couldn't recommend it enough. Thought it was so good. Thought the story was great. Second one, just nah. Which
Hard
is
pass.
so interesting because normally the second game is the one that like polishes some of the bads of the first game and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, not really the case here.
Oh.
But yeah, to the point of the platinum grind is real. Look, you gave me a challenge, 69 platinums for comedy, for a trophy, you know, all the things. And so
Mhm.
gotta do what I gotta do. I also started playing Deathloop, which I'm very
Oh yeah.
excited to get more into. Um, didn't get too far into it, but thus far it's interesting, and that's really all I have to say. I only played for about an hour and a half.
Yeah, that keeps. I have that installed on my Xbox, and I keep seeing. I'm like, I should start it. So it's interesting to me, and plus, I loved the theme song to it. It makes me think of James Bond.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have less than a month now to complete it and platinum it before it leaves PlayStation Plus. So
Wow,
I should have updates for you.
how the mighty have fallen.
Now the money have fallen. Last thing was we got Shelby her first platinum. So
Very nice.
yeah, Minecraft Dungeons, we cleaned that up for her, and she's officially a part of the platinum gang.
Welcome.
That's it. That was it really for games for the most part for me. So
It's pretty good. That was a good week. A lot of variety. A lot of platinums happening.
yep, yep. A lot of work towards platinum, stuff like that. Yeah, gotta.
Sweet.
I'm determined. I'm determined, to say the least. I'm at. I gotta double check. I think I need like 24 more.
That's it.
That's it.
Wow. Okay, I guess I better start figuring out what I'm going to do for a trophy.
I don't know. It's still like six. That's still like 6 platinums a month from here on out.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. But I think I'll do it. I think worst case I'll have to get real cheesy with it. You know,
Okay, well, gotta do what you gotta do.
we're coming up on the third birthday of GGBG, which means we might be due for a cheeky little platinum race in I am Mayo 3. So, we'll see. All right. So, first thing we have to get into is a little update about Xbox and what they're attempting to do to get approved in the UK for this Activision Blizzard deal. And you sent me this, and I'm just so confused on what is happening with this deal and what they need to do to get it to work. So I'm going to let you explain it to the best of your ability, how Xbox plans to get this thing done.
Yeah, so it's a really strange situation. It took me reading it a couple of times to at least have any degree of understanding. And I'm not saying this is the de facto um, explanation, but I think I'm at least on the right track. So we knew that Microsoft was kind of ready to divest part of the Activision business in order to make this deal go through in the UK, namely regarding something with the cloud, right? And I think initially they said their cloud business in the UK,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is what they originally said. But this week they said that they were selling the cloud streaming rights to Ubisoft, which is an interesting decision. And as far as I understand, that is in its entirety. So that doesn't just impact the UK, that impacts the rest of the world.
Right.
Now, an interesting thing to note is that Ubisoft does not have their own cloud streaming platform right now. Um, and that was my first thought when I saw this come through. It's like, well, is Ubisoft making a cloud streaming platform? And you have to, like, is Ubisoft Plus going to become a streaming platform or what? But it sounds like it was pretty intentional that it was being sold to um, essentially a non-competitor in the cloud space, and they are just going to administer the digital rights to Activision Blizzard games for cloud streaming. So um, this you will still see Activision Blizzard games on Xbox game streaming,
Mm-hmm.
and you will see it anywhere else Ubisoft decides to license the rights out to.
Right. So it's like a weird thing where they're selling it to Ubisoft, and then Ubisoft will license it back to Xbox.
Right.
Just the streaming rights for it.
Correct. So they're not getting individual game rights. That is still owned by Microsoft.
Right.
But the ability to stream on a cloud platform is getting sold out to Ubisoft. So now when let's say Amazon Luna wants gaming rights or streaming rights to an ActiBliz game, they will contact Ubisoft and they will get that contract set up through them. And obviously, Microsoft is still going to see some sort of kickback from that.
Mm-hmm.
It's still their IP that is being streamed. They will just not get whatever revenue comes from the licensing, uh, the licensing rights. So Microsoft, and that doesn't affect the deal at all in terms of price. They're still going through with the planned price. Microsoft will own all rights to Activision Blizzard, and then they'll just immediately divest and sell the streaming rights to Ubisoft, and then have to license from Ubisoft to get it on Xbox game streaming.
What like just what an interesting loophole or workaround, I guess.
Yeah, it's very very strange. It's but I mean it's alleviates exactly what the CMA was upset about, was that Microsoft was going to have too much power in game streaming, and they were clearly going to hoard all of these games for Xbox Cloud streaming because that's such a lucrative business for them. I say that in sarcasm.
Right. I, I'm just trying to understand how this wouldn't throw up like concern or anything just because like it literally is just going to Ubisoft, who also has a pretty extensive game catalog. And I guess like would the thought just be that, well, Ubisoft games are on everything, so that'll continue? Or like
Yeah,
why is this suddenly okay, I guess?
because I guess Ubisoft isn't that big of a company in comparison to Microsoft.
Sure, okay. Yeah. That's I mean that's a fine answer.
Uh,
I don't necessarily need like that's just kind of like where my mind immediately went was just like
right. No, it's stupid.
yeah.
But at the end of the day, it seems like it's a pretty easy decision for Microsoft. They still get the games on the platform, and it sucks because I do believe Microsoft would have allowed this to go to every other platform.
Right.
Um, but now they're just not going to make money off of that. They'll make some degree of, like I said, kickback from the IP being used, but they will not get any of the licensing rights to have that on platforms. It's actually going to cost them some money too. Um, and this deal covers all existing and new IP, which is interesting as well.
Yeah, that's kind of
Um,
crazy.
I'm guessing that was the easier thing to do.
Sure.
New games I would understand, but like old games, okay. I'm sure it's just easier to lump the catalog onto one, but so that's interesting. And then this is a 15-year deal. So we'll see. Um, that seems like an incredibly long time to me.
Yeah.
But I guess the thought is, 15 years from now, we'll be past the point of make or break for game streaming.
Mhm.
It might not even exist. Who knows? We might not even exist with any luck. Uh,
You mean the podcast or humanity?
humanity.
Oh, okay. And well, and with
Yeah,
that, the podcast.
yeah. The podcast is is inevitable. It'll be around forever,
Oh.
even if we're gone.
Oh.
Uh, Even if there's nobody to listen to us, we'll still be there.
It's kind of comforting,
But
maybe.
yeah, yeah. All we have to do is get one radio broadcast, and our voices will be in space forever. So
All right. I will start looking into how to do that.
yeah, please, Jim.
Make it happen.
Yeah.
Um this whole I mean, we've talked about the Activision Blizzard Microsoft deal so much. And it's just crazy that this is just like another step in a whirlwind of just confusing moments throughout all of this where I just didn't have the brain power to like understand what the hell was happening.
It's a very it's hard to think of another example of a deal like this in any business really. And it sounds like it still might not make the CMA happy, which nothing will, you know.
Right. At that point, yeah. Which is crazy because I'm pretty sure Jez Corden was the one to tweet about some other deal that like was $60 billion that the CMA just like rolled over and just like didn't even like blink twice for. And it's
Well, I
just
mean, think
like,
about all the like Facebook acquisitions. They didn't even think twice about any of those.
right. So, um, I guess shout out to Phil Spencer for pissing off the Brits. I mean, I know he every July 4th, tweets out the scoreboard for US versus, you know, the UK. But I don't know, seems kind of petty of them to block a deal like this just because of that. So, I mean, what happened to freedom of expression? Am I right?
Right. And who are you to be mad about nationalism? Come on.
um, that's crazy, and it's crazy to think that like this still won't get it done, and it's crazy to start getting your mind thinking about what the hell are they going to have to do next other than kill the deal to get this resolved. Which obviously killing the deal does not get it resolved
I mean,
in the effective way. So,
the only other thing I can think of is, let's say the CMA doesn't like this deal. The only other thing that Xbox can do is say, fuck it, we're not going to have Activision Blizzard games on Xbox game streaming. I mean, that's it. That or they fold their streaming business, which, without being, Microsoft holds their data very close, but, without being privy to their data in terms of what their projections are for game streaming, if it means that this deal would go through to get Activision and Blizzard, it probably makes sense to fold their streaming platform.
yeah.
I think long term, the damage of not having Activision is more than uh, whatever the success of game streaming is.
Right. I hear you. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it doesn't come to that. Hopefully, this can just be the thing. But
I mean, to me, and this is going to be another soapbox item for me, there is no there's not a lot of competition in the game streaming space. Microsoft is a big one. Nvidia is a big one. Amazon is technically a big one, but we'll see. I mean, they might go the Google route. Google was a big one.
right.
These are big companies that are trying to get into the space. These are the cloud providers. Um, there are some other smaller ones, but it's a hard business to get into. And I don't think any of the smaller streaming services that you see now are going to be the ones that are going to make it to the mainstream in 10 to 15 years, or even 5 to 10 years.
Right.
So I think if the CMA essentially forces Microsoft's hand to shut down their streaming service, they're actually causing more of a competition disparity than they're trying to prevent.
Right.
It's so, but they don't understand that. No
Yeah.
government understands that. It's just a bunch of old people who have no idea how the world works anymore.
100%. And like, there's so much risk involved in getting and like trying to just start this up, which is why you only see Amazon, Google, like you only
Right.
see big players trying because if it works out, could become very lucrative. But like that's a pretty big if that most people or most companies can't really afford to just try, and just say like, we'll see if the shit sticks. Like, and that's why, like you said, like you see so little competition. And yeah, there seems to be a lack of understanding why there's so much or so little competition rather than like it's very clearly that like one or two companies are just strong arming the competition. But like you said, getting them to understand that is a near impossible thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like I fear like that their minds are just made up at this point, and we'll see. We'll see. Anything else on this?
No, so I guess at this point, the CMA still plans to go to trial. I think it was like October 18th or something like that.
Yeah.
So if I understand it correctly, they didn't like choose to retract their lawsuit.
Right.
So it's still going to go to a court, and then it'll be up to the judge to decide if that's enough of a concession. Which, frankly, if I'm learning anything in this process in both the United States and in the UK and in other jurisdictions, at least the judges are opening this up to conversation and not showing their personal bias.
Right. Which, should be a thing, but
Yeah,
they shouldn't show their personal bias. Like it's crazy that we have to like
say it's like applaud them for not doing it.
It's commendable. Oh,
Yeah,
did you see Angel Hernandez last night? He called a really fair game. It's like, oh, that's good. That's literally his job.
right. But it's shocking.
Yeah.
It happens.
And also, that was just a made up scenario. Angel Hernandez has never called a good game in his life.
It's a real potent point.
That's how you knew we were living in a fantasy world.
Yeah, everything just got a lot brighter when you said that. The
So
judges
sorry.
are fair. The umps can do their job. The sun's out.
All right. Well, let's talk about another bright spot, which is Gamescom. I had everything confused last week. And so opening night live, which kicks off Gamescom, was yesterday, the 22nd, as we are recording this on the 23rd. Very confusing timeline. But anyway, so we did get a little bit of an event that we can at the very least talk about. Jeff Keighley is back in all of his world premiere trailer update glory.
World premiere.
Thank you. And I think there's I was saying to you beforehand, there's a lot to talk about, and at the same time, there's not a lot to talk about. And so I guess before we like get into any of the like meat and potatoes of it, just generally speaking, what was your overall like feeling or thoughts for the event?
I think, to be short, like it felt like a good update. Like it wasn't, a big shocking event with all these releases. There are a handful of like gotcha moments.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a good update to go into like the holiday season.
Yeah,
We
I
got
think
release dates, we got some actual gameplay on games that we have seen throughout the past 2 years or so. We saw that EA, who just announced a game like 6 months ago, is now going to be releasing it in September. That's a classic EA anthem kind of stuff, but yeah, so it's well rounded.
yeah, and I think like that was kind of the positive, right? Where like we both were kind of saying there wasn't really a lot in the actual show that maybe got you and I excited. But I think the positive of it was that Jeff did a really good job of setting expectations like before the show. And like weeks ago on Twitter, he had said like, just be prepared. This isn't Summer Games Fest. This isn't world premiere after world premiere after world premiere. This is going to be a lot of things we already know about, getting like the like critical updates for them, maybe seeing some gameplay for them, and stuff like that. And so I think like from that point of view, that's what made this actually a fairly good show.
Mhm.
Where it's lacking is like, but that this is going to be the case for just about any showcase, is that like there just may not have been enough stuff to like move the needle for you personally, and that's definitely the camp I fell into. But overall, I think, um, you know, there was a lot of good stuff shown. I mean, the Tekken and Mortal Kombat stuff, like, I don't play fighting games, but I mean, I thought both segments for each of those games were like pretty sick. I think the games look incredible. Like from a visual standpoint, it's just nuts. Um, and it had the best part of any Jeff Keighley production, in my opinion, which is bringing out the people who make the games and letting them like speak on them, have that excitement around their game, talk about like what they're doing to try and make it a great experience for the players, whether or not they're blowing smoke or not. Like just getting to hear the passion at the very least is just something that I really love about these types of events.
Yeah, and I think for me, um, and maybe it's just the stage of life I'm in, but I'm kind of at the show me point in video games. It's like Games Fest is cool, like you said. It's game after game after game, but like, and it's exciting. But how many of those do you end up seeing
Mm-hmm.
like come to fruition? Like now, it's nice to see the games that are definitely coming out soon. I mean, I think most of these had at least like a 4 month launch window, except for maybe Mortal Kombat. I don't remember if they set a release date for that, but um, it's just nice to see things that are definitely coming out towards the end. And it's really the selling moment. It's what is this going to show that is going to make me excited to play this game?
Right. Yeah. And those those updates and those moments, like you said, like the defining moments are like way more important than the yes, there's excitement over a jam-packed, you get to see all these things, but you're so right about like whether or not you actually see them come to fruition or whether or not you like have the ability to even remember it was a thing, right? Like what, just last week I was talking about Curse to Golf, the like golf roguelike. And that game's been out for
Mhm.
over a year. And I remember watching the announcement for it or like the like, teaser for it or whatever, and just being so excited and thinking it seemed like such a cool concept. And I didn't even realize it came out and had been out for an entire fucking year before I finally got my hands on it. Like how insane is
Right.
that? You know what I mean? Like so yeah, I that's you're so right. Like this was good from that regard of like you can't forget these because they're right in your face and they're about to come out, which is so awesome. um I'm curious, what is like the thing, I think I know the answer,
Probably do.
and so we can just talk about it because I'm in the same boat. Cyberpunk, right?
Mhm.
S- this is, I
Yeah.
mean, this update is going to be insane. I'm like getting cyberpunk hype all over again. like like I feel the hype that I felt when cyberpunk was about to release. um I'm like feeling that again about this DLC that's coming in Phantom
I'm starting
Liberty.
it for the first time.
You're feeling it for the first time?
No, it's not true. I guess I was hype about Cyberpunk, but I still had my typical Mike like, is it too big?
Yeah.
But no, yeah, this I'm starting out with this, and why it's only $30. I know a lot of people are pissed at that, but I don't care.
Again, like
It's a full game
if
in itself.
right, if the Witcher DLCs are anything to go off of, this will be well worth the money. um I'm trying to see here like all the things that they talked about, like things that are just so critical, like the whole like revamped police system, right? Like we've talked about it where it's like when I played through the game, and that's after the next gen update and stuff, like that was the one thing that I felt was so lacking. Like it felt like any sort of chase you got into amounted to nothing. So you got that. There's going to be a whole new district. Obviously, like this whole like story path that you can go down. Um, I can't wait. It's like you said, it's effectively a whole new game. It's going to be sick.
Yeah, and I'm actually kind of excited for like the introduction of cyberpsychosis too. And that's actually going to be like a dynamic thing in the game. Like, yeah, you can load yourself up on upgrades and make yourself OP, but you're also going to have to deal with whatever mechanic the psychosis brings in.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can not do any of that stuff and not have to deal with it. But obviously, you're losing some of those abilities, and that will change how you play the game too. I mean, it's just that game has a level of detail that is will have a level of detail that is just S tier.
Yeah.
Um, and plus, Idris Elba's in it, which I cannot understate how excited I am for that.
Right. I love that, right? Like they get Keanu and it's just like,
Uh huh.
how can you do any like how can you even try to match that? Like it's impossible. And then they pull Idris and you're just like, oh my fucking God. How
Hold my beer.
how foolish was I? Like, man, I can't think of like two people to get me like more excited for a game.
I, I mean, Idris Elba. If he's not my favorite actor, he's one of them. And the fact that he's going to be in a game that I consider one of my favorites now is it's unreal.
Yeah, absolute cherry on top, right? Very exciting. Um, Trying to think. Was there anything else from opening night live, like any sort of update or anything like that, that has you suddenly interested in a game, or that you felt like was a good um kind of accelerator for a game to like get other people more excited into it?
I so I fell into my familiar trap of when a new Call of Duty shows gameplay, and I'm like, wow, this looks pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then obviously it comes out and it's nothing like that. But I fell into that trap with Modern Warfare 3. Is
Mm-hmm.
that what they're calling this?
Yeah.
But there was a Modern Warfare 3.
Yes, this is sorry. It's Modern Warfare 3 again, the second time remastered is what I think it's
Gotcha.
I think that's the full title.
And remade.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And remade. Colon and
Yeah.
remade.
But with new old maps from Modern Warfare 2. No, not the last one, the one before that.
Yeah. Yeah. The one with the toxic lobbies. No, wait. The one with the really toxic lobbies.
The one that made you a man.
Yeah. So, naming convention aside, I kind of felt the same way though. Like literally watching it, I was just like, "Holy shit. Like this does look really good." Um I'm not going to get it. So, it's easy for me to
Um,
just be like, "Wow," and then move on. But
I was really expecting them to drop the day one Game Pass, but I guess they probably
e-
can't.
not yet anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um what I thought was interesting about it was, and I was kind of listening in and out at this point, when they brought the people on to like talk about it more, just because like they're just saying all the same thing. Like they're like, "Oh, we're bringing you all these amazing maps and stuff like that," and I was just like, "Oh yeah, okay, like sure."
Mm.
Like nothing. This is the 19th installment of Call of Duty or something crazy like that. Like
Jeez.
you can't even. I don't know if that's right, but that probably
Oh, I
feels.
believe you.
I was gonna say that probably feels pretty close, right? Like, um, I'm trying to think here. Ready? Wait, we got World at
It's,
War, Modern Warfare, Black Ops, Modern Warfare, or well, wait, World, yeah, wait, was it Modern Warfare then World at War?
no, World at War was. Actually,
Because Black Ops wasn't before Modern Warfare 2.
no, yeah. So I think you're right. I think it was Call of Duty 4, and then
Call of Duty 4 was Modern Warfare.
right, yeah, sorry. And then World at War, and then Modern Warfare 2.
Then Black Ops, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 2. I know there's a Black Ops 3. There's probably a Black Ops 4.
Probably.
Advanced Warfare, Ghosts, Modern Warfare again.
Was there an Advanced Warfare 2?
I don't think so.
And then even beyond that, there was still like the original Call of Duty, Call of
Yeah,
Duty 2, and there was like
we're looking
four
at
iterations.
there's gotta be it's gotta be close to 19 at this point. So
I mean, I think the first Call of Duty came out in like 2001.
yes, but it wasn't a
So
yearly installment at the beginning,
at the beginning, but once you got to Modern Warfare 4, it was.
right? Yeah, fucking crazy. Well, regardless, the thing that piqued my interest was they said something about open world zombies.
Huh.
And I was just like, how does that work? Like that, because zombies was like my favorite aspect of Call of Duty. Even after I got off of the Call of Duty train, um, like, occasionally hanging out with people and stuff like that, like we'd still play like a map of zombies, like, and I could still get enjoyment out of that. Um, and so I thought that was interesting. That piqued my interest, and I'm excited to see more about that. But again, it's not going to be enough to move the needle for me.
It would be cool to see like them do that with almost like a zombie war zone kind of thing. Um, and I mean, my preference would be it'd be like PVE, and essentially it's just a giant open map, and you start with a pistol essentially,
Mhm.
and there's just stuff in the environment that you can level up. And it's not like the wave mechanic of zombies past, but I don't know. I think they did add something in Warzone at one point where like if you died, you became a zombie.
And I'm pretty sure they had like segments of the map that were like infested with zombies, where like there was like
Yeah.
certain loot as well. Yeah, so it's interesting to say the least. Um, but yeah, it's funny that you brought that up because I was actually thinking the same thing, where it's just like this actually looks pretty good, and I kind of hate that I'm saying it. Um,
Uh, to segue off of that,
mhm.
uh, Age of Empires 4 getting Shadow Drop was kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, I might check that out. It's funny though, but I think the attention behind it getting Shadow dropped kind of made me go like, oh, sweet, like I'll check it out. Because otherwise, like if it would have gotten a release date and that day kind of came and went, probably wouldn't have. Um,
Right.
Never, I haven't played any of those games, but just kind of the hype behind it might have gotten me a little.
Yeah, and also you're kind of in your sim slut era, so why not?
Yeah, who knows? I could
Um,
become the greatest Age of Empires player of all time. I'm practiced. I'm first.
I thought a game that like I've never played Age of Empires, but a game that I felt like is similar, and I'm trying to find the name of it. It was like it's like Ara History Untold, where you
Oh
like have to
yeah,
like build up a civilization and stuff like that. Is that kind of like Age of Empires, right? Where you have to like Age of Empires, I guess, is like you fight other um am I getting Age of Empires and Civ confused, or are
you're
they
asking the
are
wrong
or are
person.
they all the same? Well, I didn't
I
know if you
I
knew.
I think they're probably all very similar.
Okay.
Um, that's and sorry to interrupt, but I watched an awful IGN recap video with terrible music in the back, and it was just very fast. And they actually played Age of Empires and then that Aura game back to back,
And you couldn't tell.
and I didn't realize it had transitioned. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Why did the whole like engine change?
Yeah.
So anyway, that was just a funny story. But continue.
No, but yeah, so I thought that game looks pretty interesting. But kind of similar to what you're saying about how like Age of Empires being available now and like you can have it in your hands because of Game Pass and stuff like that, like kind of does more for you in terms of actually like knowing you're going to like play it outside of like, and this is just the case with these types of showcases where like you see a game and you're like, that looks really good, but is it the type of game that like come whatever release date you're going to actually pick it up.
Right.
Um, and so I really want to stay close to that, our History Untold, or however you pronounce it, just because it does look really interesting.
It so when I watched it and like after my brain had kind of compiled what just happened to me, I was like, oh, it's like Age of Empires, but it's also like The Sims, where you can have random landmarks in the middle. Like you've got this really cool, um, you know, I don't know, early Renaissance town that you built, but also there's just a random fucking Statue of Liberty in the middle.
Right. Yeah. It's literally city skylines. You like build up this city, and then like also you build like a NASA headquarters, and you're just like,
Right.
yeah, that makes sense. Um, man, yeah, I'm just such a sucker for those games. It's just like I need them like put directly in my face to actually get around to them is the problem.
Yeah.
Um, I think the last thing for me personally that I am like fairly excited about is kind of the seemingly random. I guess I'm just not very close to it. Um, Little Nightmares 3 getting announced. Um,
Yes.
and I have yet to play either of the first two. Both, well, I mean, I really want to play Little Nightmares, and I'm assuming I'll enjoy it that to the point that I want to play the second one as well. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. Um, I believe this is the first one with co-op, right?
I don't know. I thought maybe the second one had it, but
I
that I did not play that one.
Yeah, well, I didn't remember seeing anything like co-op about the second one, and like there's not like like it's just like one little like character in the um where it's like game cover, like game picture.
Hmm.
So that's why I just kind of assumed, I guess. But I was just getting like Unravel 2 vibes almost from like this type of game, and being able to like enjoy it with somebody else. And you know, as Shelby like gets more into games, it just like has me excited as like a, oh, this is another game that like we might be able to like play and enjoy together. So just something that like when it showed up was definitely something that I wasn't even remotely considering. And so that was pretty cool.
I That was one I saw before I watched the recap of the showcase. I saw somebody on Twitter talk about it. I was like, oh, that's cool. I played a lot of the first Little Nightmares, but I played it on Stadia, so now all my progress is gone, and I didn't finish it.
Mm,
And so I haven't played Little Nightmares 2, but it's one of those things. I know. I think they're both on Game Pass. That or I just have them, but I really enjoyed playing it. So I was excited to see another one of those. It's like to me a combination of like Little Big Planet and Limbo.
okay. Yeah, I got that. That makes sense.
And I love Limbo and Inside, I think it was called.
Yep.
So it's kind of like a 2.5D side scroller with like a little bit of stealth. Is just I love those games.
And we can't forget that um it was one of the people who worked on Limbo and Inside, but it's not like the entire team is like making another game that's going to be coming out semi soon. It was like
Yeah,
that like game where you have to like puzzle and zap out and like in and all that
that's
stuff to
right.
like get like different like not aspects, what's the word, I don't know, but either way, that's something to again look forward to. And it's like so easy to forget about these things.
Yeah,
um
it's so much.
Anything else from opening night live that you particularly wanted to call out?
No, I'm hoping that the momentum kind of continues on over the next. Is it until Friday or is it just like Wednesday and Thursday?
I want to say it's through the entire weekend.
Oh, okay.
So hopefully we have a good bit to talk about next week with the rest of the event.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
My last thing is and there's not really an answer to this necessarily, but um during Payday 3, there was like a little like update about how Ice-T is going to be in it, and so before they showed it, um, he like cut together a little segment, and he said he knows a lot about heists. He said, I know a lot about heists in real life," and what does that mean? What does he mean by that? Is there like did Ice-T used to be a bank robber and I didn't know about it?
I mean, I don't know. I thought maybe he had some sort of past like that.
Okay, maybe. I
He
he
was he
said
was
it.
apparently in the military for 2 years.
So like, what does that have to do with heists? What are you telling us, Ice-T? Did you commit war
Was he in
crimes?
was he in a heist movie?
But that's not real life. Like is that what he
I
meant?
mean, it's not real life.
Yeah, but like a movie is to me the same as a video game. So being like, oh, I'm now in this video game and I have so much experience to bring into this, like real life experience. Like you have movie experience, sure. I just thought it was weird. Like Tim Allen saying I have cocaine experience makes more sense than Ice-T saying I have heist experience.
Yeah. I
So
mean that everyone knows that. Okay. Well,
the cocaine thing.
yeah.
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 And then we just let him be Santa Claus? Okay.
I mean, makes sense. I didn't call him Iceman for nothing. Yeah, apparently. So here's something from Entertainment Tonight in 2019. Uh, he was a bank robber, but robbed mostly jewelry stores
No way.
and started off not being armed.
That is fucking awesome. Okay. All right. Now I know what he meant by that.
Yeah.
That just that like totally threw me off. I was just like, is this just like an Ice-T moment? You know, the whole like John Mulaney skit where he's just like, what, like some kind of person who eats a lot of cake and then throws it all up? It's just like, yeah, Ice, you get addiction. So I didn't know if it was like maybe that's just why I have this like funny outlook on Ice-T. So when he said it, I was just like, is this him saying like, or is he like, was he actually? And I could have looked it up, but I wanted to wait and bring it to the podcast. And now we all learned something.
Yeah. I didn't know. And, it was one of those things when you said that, it was kind of in the back of my head because he was on NCIS or something, right?
He is on. Yeah, it's one of those shows.
Yeah. Oh, whatever it is, I know Justine watches it. And I just can't remember if it was NCIS or not. I think it was the one that is now canceled, or ended. But I think we had talked about that, or she told me about it or something. I don't know. Because he was playing a cop, and it's like, well, this is ironic.
Love it. You love a good origin story like that.
Yeah, and now he's teaching people how to do it.
Now, yeah, but in a video game, in game.
But it translates to real life, as we all know.
Automobile thefts are up in Chicago because of GTA. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Law and Order he was in, not NCIS.
Law and Order. Yep. Dun dun. Right?
I think so.
All right. Well,
just stuck with it because, sure.
Cool. All right. Well, I just wanted to, like I said, have a little learning moment. It's what this podcast can be about. Sometimes you learn about Ice-T's past. Sometimes you question why Al Pacino is at an event, and sometimes you learn that if you say Rumpelstiltskin's name, he tears himself in half. These are all things that happen on this podcast. So,
number one podcast for early childhood learners.
Yeah, there you go. That'll do it for this week. Thank you all so much for listening. Let us know if there was any particular part of Opening Night Live that had you really excited. If there was an update for a game that you were hoping would be there and it was. As always, if you could leave us a rating or a review wherever you listen to the podcast, it'd be greatly appreciated. Other than that, best thing you can do is share it with a friend. Share it with somebody who needs to learn something. Share it with somebody who loves Law and Order and Ice-T, the actor, not the drink. And we'll talk to you next week.